In this video we're going to make a little Lego Star Wars figure, this time Darth Vader. A couple of people have requested that I do some Star Wars Lego ones, so we're going to do these. So we're going to start with some black. Now this is the modelling and flour paste. Now you'll find if you try and dye it black that it changes consistency and it becomes too runny, so you are best buying it ready-made in black. Okay, so what we're going to do is just roll it slightly, but still leave it quite thick at the sides because we still want a bit of depth to the body. Okay, and what we're going to do is check for size against here. Now don't worry about his head at the moment, we'll do that last. I do have plenty of other little Lego figure videos, so you can have a look at the other ones that I've done as well. Okay, so we've cut in line with his feet. And what I'm going to do now is, I don't know if you can see very well, he's got feet just here, a little line here. So we're going to mark a little line on there. And what I'm going to do is just press with the other end of my knife to kind of flatten that just a little bit. And then using my modelling tool, I'm going to press in a little bit so that is where his legs go in. Like so. Just make sure that it hasn't moved too much at the bottom when you're doing that. Okay. So our next line should come to about here. It doesn't need to be a definite straight line, that, because it's a curve in the Lego man's legs. So then the next one, which I realise you can't see very well with it being black, comes to about here for his waist. Just make sure that stays flat. Okay. And then he's got another line about here for his waistband. And then we want to cut the top of the body, which comes to about here. Just want to make sure that it stands up and it's flat on the bottom as well. Okay, so that's fine for the height of the body, and we've put all the lines in. And what I'm going to do is cut a straight edge. I'm going to put it against my picture so I can see where the next edge wants to go. And that's going to go about there. So we'll move these bits out of the way now. And then we just want to cut in so that we've got a slight triangle removed from the top bits of the body on either side, like so. And we're going to put in a little line where we think the centre is. So I'm just using this as a guide. So I think the centre's about there. I'm not sure you can see that very well on there. And I'm going to put a little line at either side of where I've marked the centre to be. So I haven't cut all the way through, that's just a line at the moment. So from this bit here, we're going to actually cut down. So we're going to cut all the way through there, and another line to give him two legs. This is where you have to sometimes be a bit careful, as you can end up with one leg a little bit bigger than the other, and this bit's a bit awkward to get out. So where I've scuffed it up, I'm just going to push that back in with my modelling tool, like so. Just making sure it stays in shape. My black fondant is, and my black modelling paste is still a little bit soft, so it's a bit more difficult to use than the white one. You'll see I've also done a stormtrooper as well, so you can have a look at that one as well for making the figures. So I'm just putting in a little bit more of an indentation there. Okay, so play around with it until you're happy with the shape, and I'll just put that back on there. My greaseproof paper is so that I can move it around easily without distorting the shape. And you'll find if you're using black to try not to use corn flour or icing sugar, otherwise you'll just end up with it a bit grey. What we're going to do now is give him a bit of a cape. So I'll save some of that to one side, and we'll just roll this out nice and thin. If you find it is sticking, you can use just a little bit of Trex, which is a vegetable fat. Okay, so we've rolled that out nice and thin. I want it the same width as this, so just cut that out on either side. We'll cut a straight edge along the bottom. Height-wise, let's see, so if we move this onto here, so we want the cape to come partway down the legs, like so. And we'll want it so that it comes up on the body, so I reckon about there. So I've just put a slight indentation in there, and we'll cut that off like so. Okay, and what we're going to do is just curve these top corners like that, and we'll just need to take that off the greaseproof paper to put this on the greaseproof paper. And I'm going to just put a little bit of water on the back of my Lego figure's body. I'm going to place that into the centre of the cape. I'm going to put a little bit on the top of the body there, and then we're going to bring the cape just up a little bit there like that. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that very well, and I've just pinched it a little bit at the top there, so it's got a bit of a crease at the top, but you won't see that. So I'm just going to push that down. And just make sure you're happy with the positioning of the cape, so I'm just going to make sure that's rounded around there. And then we're going to give him some arms. So we're just going to roll a sausage shape. I'm going to put them against there. I'm going to cut it about the waist length, so I think about here. Let's just check. Might be a little bit too long, so cut that down a tiny bit. Obviously you want two the same. Just put an indentation in to create a bend in his arm. Again, the same on that one. And we're just going to put a little bit of water on the side. You can use edible glue. And we're going to position that on there like so. Same with the other one. It's up to you how you want to position your arms, whether you want them straight up or down. I might have put a little bit too much water on that arm, which means it's just sort of sinking slightly. Okay, and what we're going to do now is add some arms, so hands even. So I'm just going to roll a small amount of black, then put a tiny bit of water on the end of each hand. I'm just going to push that onto there. Like so, and then what we'll do is stick a hand on each of those. So for the hands, you want to roll a round ball that we're going to flatten, and we're then going to spread out so it becomes a bit more oval shape. And then if you wrap that around the bottom of your paintbrush, it should create a little bit of a hand shape, if I can get that off the paintbrush again. Like that. And again, you just want a little bit of water on the ends of those black bits that you just stuck on. Now, if you find it's too, your arms sort of move around too much, just let them dry a little bit before adding the hands. So we'll try putting it on. It might be that we have to wait for it to dry a little bit, so I'm just pushing that on with my paintbrush a little bit like so. Position the arm however you want it to go. Same again for the other side. Okay, and what we'll do now is we'll put some painting on his body. Now, there's different versions of this, so you can go for one that's got a more simple patterning on the body. It's up to you. And we're going to paint that on. So taking a thin brush, I'm just going to get some silver paint. So I've got a rainbow dust metallic figured one, so these are edible, these ones. And you're just going to paint the pattern on. If you've got an edible printer, you can use the edible printer if you prefer. Or you might want to practice you painting on a scrap bit of icing first if you're not confident putting it straight on. You can add the different colours if you want as well, if you don't want to just do it in silver. So you see mine's it's not the neatest painting, but sometimes it is quite difficult getting the patterning on. Now for the bit that I find the hardest, and that is the head. So just make sure you've not left your icing out like I have done, otherwise it'll dry up. So we're going to take a ball of your icing. I'm just going to check size-wise if I think that's going to be alright or not. And what we're going to do is start with a ball, and we're just going to kind of flatten it a little bit on the bottom. Like so, and we'll just see if it still looks okay kind of size-wise. You'll probably find that it changes size and shape when we start working in the face. Okay. So we've got that like so. I'm just going to pinch it in a little bit at the sides. We don't want it too tall either. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I know it's difficult with it being black as well. And what we're going to do is just put an indentation in at either side like so. And another one just there. Okay, and we're going to put a bit of an indentation in the centre. And if you can, try and leave a little lump at either side. I'm not sure if you can see that very well. Okay, so I'm going to hold that against there so I can see size-wise again what we're doing. So his helmet kind of comes to about here where his eyes are. So we're going to just put a little V shape in there, and we're going to bring that up to the V shape. And we'll do the same at the other side. I'm just going to use my modelling tool there to put the indentations in. And it is the heads that I dislike doing the most. Okay. He's got a slight bump here, which you can try and get in if you can. If not, don't worry, just leave the bump. Okay, and then what we're going to do is press in a little line at either side to create like his mouth bit. Okay, and then we're going to Put another line inside of each of those, creating like a little triangle in the middle. Where we're going to then put lines going up and down. Now I don't know how well you can see it with it being dark on the icing. And just check that it looks okay size wise as well against your little bit of Lego. Okay, I'm just going to put an indentation up here and just around the top of the sort of curves on the helmet. And then he's got a little lump that goes down the centre, a little ridge. Now if you wanted to, you can add the ridge as a separate piece rather than indenting it in. So you can always have a go at both and see which way you think works best. So I'll do that all the way up. So I don't know if you can see, it's starting to get ridge in the top there. There's no set way of doing this as well, so you know, if you find one way doesn't work for you and a different way does, just do the way that you find easiest. I'm not sure I've got his ridge quite central. So just keep working on that until you're happy with the shape. And then you can draw in the little eyes then. So you just want a couple of little oval shapes in there. Which I'm finding the hardest bit to do. Okay, and that's it, that's our little Darth Vader head. And you shouldn't really need to do any painting on the head. But just work on it until you're happy with what it looks like, okay? When you've done that, we're going to attach it to the body, but we're just going to put a really small circle of fondant on. So we're just going to put a little bit of water there where we want it to go. Almost squashed that on his head then. So a little ball you squash down and we'll just put on for a bit of a neck. Just on there like that. And then what we'll do is we'll just push that onto there. Now if you find it doesn't stick and you know it's not going to be eaten, you can use like a bit of spaghetti in the centre or a cocktail stick to support it. Okay. So that's it, that's the finished Darth Vader. Thank you for watching.
If you liked this video and would like to see more, please click on the images of the other videos suggested. Also, please do subscribe to my channel using the button at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You can also visit my cake website and my Facebook page to see more cakes and ideas.